Additional aids and services are available to individuals with disabilities. To make such a request, please contact us by email, by clicking the Help tab in the PD portal, or at pdportal@tamu.edu, by phone, including Relay Texas at 1-800-441-7323, or in writing to Train PD, PD Portal Support, 4477 TAMU, College Station, Texas 77843. Both a transcript and accessible document of the content presented in this webinar can be found as resources in the course description. Click on the blue links under Course Resources in the description. When a link is clicked, a new browser window will open.
Amy McBride has been employed by the Literacy Council of Tyler for approximately 8 months. Ms. McBride is the Learning Differences Coordinator and GED instructor for ELCOT. Amy is a certified teacher in the following areas: special education, early childhood through 12th grade, general education, early childhood through 8th grade, and English as a second language, and she holds a Master's of Arts degree in teaching. Amy fell in love with adult education when she volunteered to teach a music therapy session at an adult daycare center for adults with disabilities. And Amy is extremely passionate about helping adult learners succeed using targeted and specialized instructional strategies and tools. And I met Amy when I was doing a session at ELCOT, and I absolutely knew that I had to have Amy come on the series. So at this time, everybody, let's welcome Amy. And Amy, take it away.
Yes, I absolutely adore special needs, but I enjoy helping really anybody. So if there's something I know, I'm happy to share. We're going to go over this awesome resource, Mathigon, which is at the website mathigon.org. And we're actually doing this as a two-parter. This part is specifically looking at the pre-made courses, activities, and all those goodies. There's a second part that is actually going to be longer because it has to do with the insane amount of math manipulatives they have. So we're going to do this part first, and the second part at the end of March is going to be super awesome as well. So you're going to be able to start playing with the website after today and know what you're doing. And at the end of the month, you're going to become experts with their manipulatives. So it's exciting. All right. So here's our objectives. So we're going to explore and understand Mathigon components. And we're literally going to explore everything except for the major portion of the website with the manipulatives. But there's a lot of other things they offer. You're going to be able to create a Mathigon teacher account, which is, in my experience, insanely easy. You're going to be able to add students, assign items to students, and know where to look for different activities, because ultimately, what's the point of a resource if you can't get to it? All right, so I wanted to stop and just have a little bit of I want to make sure I cover what people are needing. So first, I kind of need to know, what is your role? Are you a teacher? Are you an administrator? Who do you teach if you teach? Are you an advisor? Who all do we have with us today?
Got instructors coming in, coordinators, lots of instructors. Woo! This is really, really focused for you all. Excellent. Instructors, a social worker, HSC instructor, a lot of HSC instructors, Amy, and instructors. Distance learning. We've got distance learning. Yep, lots of instructors, lots of instructors.
Well, that's wonderful. And honestly, I see Gabriella said she's also the training manager. Honestly, you probably want to do a mini training with your people to show them this resource. It's fabulous regardless of whether you're math minded or not. I'm one of the fortunate few. I really love math, but they did one of the wonderful things with this website that I love about math, and they turned it into a game. Like, everything that's in there is practically a game, even though it's educational. So it's awesome. Hoping to prepare students for math reading skills and GED. Cool. That's one of the other things I actually didn't mention in the slides, and I will show this to you when we get to the site. They do have it so that you can translate it into a number of languages. So if they need Spanish, they can have Spanish. If they need German, they can have German. If they need French, they can have that. So it's pretty great. All right, so we've got a lot of instructors, and let's see, I would also really like to know, as far as the instructing, is your strength in math, or are you not as strong in math? 1 to 4, 4 being super good at math, 1 being I need some help. Just roughly.
Yep. And while the numbers are coming in, Amy, I wanted to share too, you do have career navigators. So this is exciting that are joining us today, and also ESL instructors. So we've got 3s, we've got 4s. Hi,
Oh,
Mike.
good.
Lots of
So we've
4s and
got some
3s.
really people who are really comfortable with instructing on math. That's great. So that's going to make your transition into using this resource really easy. Now, if you're not good at math, there's still a lot that it offers, but you being strong in math is going to help your students be able to access it, even if they hate math. So that's wonderful. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move on. So the next thing I like to ask, what do you want out of a good math resource? And I'll show you after you've talked the things that I could think of. Let's see, focused on test taking strategies, learning fractions, definitely.
User-friendly, video and
Yes.
interactive.
Yes.
Examples with answers. That's important, Jane.
Mhm.
Okay, lots of good.
Vocabulary, everyday applications, interactive, free and friendly, engaging. Absolutely. All right, so I am seeing a lot of free. And honestly, that's one of the first things I look for too, because who wants to spend their own money on getting materials? Conversions, that's a big one. I actually am working with my math class right now on. Let's see, and format questions. Okay, so I do have to tell you the one thing I've seen here that you've mentioned that for some reason I didn't think of, that I haven't seen, is the GED format questions. This is less of an assessment resource and more of a knowledge skills resource. But there's a ton of stuff in there that you can still use to make sure your students are getting what they need. Okay, so here's what I came up with. Pre-made activities, pre-made lessons I might be able to tweak a little bit, because goodness knows nothing's perfect. Something interactive, I saw that a lot of times, so we're definitely on the same page there. Something I can assign online in case you have online students. Goodness knows there's a lot of distance learning nowadays. And something that changes abstract ideas to concrete visuals, I find is really big with math, especially with the students who don't like it as much. So I saw several of these in the chat when you were posting the things you look for. Those are the things I look for. And I've got to say, everything that I found on here actually applies to all 5 of my bullet points. And wonderful news. First thing I'm going to tell you about it, it's free. It's not only free for you, it's free for your students. Your students' parents can sign up. It is free. There's never been any plans for them to charge, and they're not ever planning to charge. There's nothing that you can pay for to get extra materials. It's all there and it's all free. Next, they do have the website is, and this is important just to do with spelling and their read aloud voice. It is created and moderated in England and Wales. So you might notice there's some extra use in words like color or neighbor. They use England English rather than American English. So just if you see something, that's why. Their Spanish does lean more towards Spain rather than Central America and South America, because they're looking at Europe. But it would still be generally legible for someone who is native to Central or South America. They are a huge source of virtual manipulatives, lessons, lesson plans, and tasks. I've got to say, if nothing else, which this is a little preview of what we're going to talk about in the next session, if nothing else, this website has made it so that I never, ever have to draw a number line by hand again. Because I don't know about you, but mine gets sloppy when I just have to draw it on the whiteboard. And I absolutely love that I don't have to do it anymore. There's tons of other stuff though. And then lastly, they have interactive assignable materials, because goodness knows how many people go in looking specifically for stuff that they can play with. I know that's how I learn best, and I'm pretty sure that's how everybody else learns best. So all of this is available completely free. Now let's get into some of it. So I'm going to show you these after I show you each of the types. So first we've got our pre-made courses. They have geometry. Each of these is available with middle school, according to their knowledge level, and high school level. So they've got Euclidean geometry, transformations and symmetry, triangles and trigonometry, polygons and polyhedra. And all of these are courses that end up, you can interact with the course. You can, there's often something you can move around in there. Like I'm going to show you the statistics course has a cool little thing to do roulette. But they all have interactive, and there is a simulated online tutor as well that will help them if they get stuck on a question, because there are questions to answer. It also is there to encourage them. It does try to stay hip. It uses memes sometimes, but it's always trying to be encouraging. All right, so next, so the pre-made courses, the next set is numbers and algebra. Lots of people have trouble with these, obviously. So these are the ones that they've got in numbers and algebra. They have divisibility and primes, which, oh, I love the stuff they've done with those. They have sequences and patterns, because even though people don't think about it, yes, patterns in everyday life are math. Quadratic equations, super fun. Exponential functions, logic sets, and everyone's dreaded in college, proof. They've got courses on all of these. Now, the only thing I can tell you here, though, to watch out for is not all of their subsets in each of these courses are complete. Some of them are still being edited and are not currently available to interact with. They are supposed to come out, but we don't have a deadline on that. So I'm not sure exactly when the rest. Yes, it's a pretty young website. In fact, they were just bought by Amplify in January, which is part of why they're able to give everything for free, because they're backed by somebody who charges for stuff. But they already have a lot for how young they are. Okay, and then they also have probability and applications. Probability, I don't know about your experience, but my experience is my students don't like to talk about it because probability ends up getting really complicated. Well, they figured out not only how to make it interesting, but also how to make it interactive, which of course, everybody knows the casino has to do with probability, but that's not the end of it. So they really go into depth there. We've got probability, statistics and data, combinatorics, graphs and networks. Graphs always important. Codes and ciphers, which is just fun. Game theory and chaos theory. I really want them to complete the chaos theory subject because it's really interesting. All right, so now we're going to take a tour. So let's go on over to Mathigon. Let me show you this wonderful website. Okay, so this is the main website, mathigon.org. So here are our pre-made courses. As you can see, they clearly label middle school and high school. They've got cool stuff on fractals, which are just fascinating. Polygons and polyhedra, they literally have dice you can roll on here, and it shows you how they unravel too. Super neat. Triangles and trigonometry, amazing. Divisibility and primes is definitely filled out because that's something that a lot of people have trouble with. And as you can see, quadratic equations is under construction. Logic sets and proof, thankfully, they have complete. And then looking at probability and applications, we've got a decent amount of stuff. Now I'm going to show you, let's see. Here we go. This is the one I wanted to show everyone. So this is literally, and I'm going to go back to it. So this is the main page. If you look at the top, there's Polypad, courses, activities, lesson plans. In case you get completely lost, there is a magnifying glass you can search with. And then we're going to get to this later. There's a little person up here to do stuff with your profile. Now that includes, and I'll show you this now, changing your language. As you can see, we've got a good number of languages we can choose, including Spanish, Dutch, French, actually that's German, there's Dutch, Portuguese, Ukrainian, all a ton of them. Now, again, I do have to stress, these are in the majority European languages. So if someone is not a Spanish speaker, it'll be a little disjointed to them, but it should still be legible and understandable. Okay, so going back to my courses, which is what I'm talking about. Oh, I have something in chat. Yes, they have Arabic. Yes, it's really easy to make the account. So moving on, here we go. Casino mathematics. Here's my first lesson. Now, if you look at the board, you'll see over on the left, it's got all the courses listed for that specific subject. And here's my casino mathematics. Not only does it have, obviously, you can scroll over and look at things. And it has, I love the roulette wheel because it's neat and it does change per time. But here's the really neat bit for me.
Soon after their initial mathematicians started applying the laws of probability to many different parts of life, including casino games.
So even if your student, say, maybe is dyslexic or has trouble with reading, they can still learn this stuff. It will read it to them. Now, some of it, obviously, like this table here.
Roulette results on the 19th of August 1823, Table 5.
It's not going to read the whole thing. But with the flat out text, it'll read you the entirety if that's what you need. Now, one of the other cool things I want to bring up here is over here we've got share. You can share with Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, Reddit. There's also over here, you'll see this little fox in the corner in the bottom right. That's important specifically because when we get to questions, because this is interactive. So I'm reading about roulette. It has the same number of red and black. We ignore the green 0. We would expect the number of red and black numbers to be, here are my two options, exactly equal or approximately the same. So I'm going to go ahead and click what I know is the wrong answer. And oh, look at that. Are you sure about that? Pops up on the bottom. I don't know. I'm going to click it again just to be mean. That's not quite right. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the right one. And it celebrates with you.
This looks pretty
Sweet.
evenly distributed. There is a...
It continues and it won't unlock the next part until you get the correct answer. So they can't just skip it. Now, with multiple choice, of course, they can just pick the other one, but it's not really meant to test them so much as they can see quite clearly the really important bit there. Now, it seems our RMBB happened much. Now I'm going to click the wrong one. Oh, try again. It was using a lot of memes on me last night. Oh, there we go. Oh, and there's SpongeBob. So I can go through this whole thing, and literally it has on this one, it wants you to type a series of R's and B's. So here I go. So obviously I was the most random at about this point, and it will tell you how random it is. It's crazy the stuff this does. uh, it's amazing. And like I said before, whenever you get to anything orange, it'll pop out and tell you about it. Now, again, at the bottom left in the hot pink area, there is a glossary, and you can use that as well. So there's plenty that you can do here. You can also reset progress. It will keep track of how long you've spent, how long they've spent, uh, as well as how much of it they've done. If they just sit on that first paragraph for forever, you'll know. So now I'm going to open this portion with courses up for some questions.
Amy, before you go, I had a question real
Yes.
quick while you're here. Can you scroll up to the roulette rule? What can you do with that? Because I had a question come to me privately. Does that just random? They can just click on it, or is it with each question? I thought it was a good question.
Oh, you click on it. It'll show you a hand instead of your regular cursor. You click and then release, and it will spin the roulette wheel, and it will go to a random number. It's not like a preset number. So literally they can see how random it really is. The ball always starts at the top, and it always goes some distance, and part of how far it goes depends on how fast you spin.
Okay. Thank you.
So that's just to show you the randomness that does occur there.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and open up to some questions here, because I want to hear any questions about how to use the courses so far.
Here we go.
Yes.
Can an instructor create a class?
Yes, an instructor can create a class, and I'm going to show you how to do that today. So I'm going to go ahead and move on. So the next bit, because that's only about a fifth or a sixth of their website, they have pre-made puzzles, activities, and lesson plans. And the reason I grouped this all together is because it's all under the same tab. So the puzzles, activities, and lesson plans have a nice filter section that I'll show you. There are 5 categories. There's student explorations, where they can literally just go on their own and do any interactive stuff they want within there. There are lesson plans that you can flat out use. There are puzzles and games, because who doesn't want to play puzzles and games? And it relates back to the subject. There are further teaching ideas, and this was very helpful to me, there are tutorials on how to do some of the stuff on the website. So you can filter for those 5 things. There's also a search bar in this area. So if you wanted to do specifically fractions, you can look up fractions specifically for puzzles and games. So I'm going to show you this in a minute, but I want to also show you the next slide. There are also prepaid separate activities. Now, this doesn't sound like a lot or look like a lot on this slide, but there were so many things, it was honestly hard to just narrow it down. Included here, I tried to hit the big guns here. There's a huge interactive timeline of mathematics, which I'll show you. There are more games, and there's a ton of resources you can just get lost in. I can't tell you how much this is just something you can easily spend a week or 2 on. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and take a tour of that area. So here we go, back at the beginning. We still have our tabs at the top: Polypad, courses, activities, lesson plans. If you ever get lost, you can click the Mathigon symbol at the upper left, and it'll bring you back to the main page. So I'm going to go first to lesson plans. This is where we've got the filter. I don't know why it's specifically labeled lesson plans at the top and not in the title, but that's unfortunately the way it is right now. So I'm going to look up specifically. I saw somebody mention fractions, and I know that is a big one. There we go. So we can see here, this is with all the filters. Statistics are their lessons on mean, median, mode, and range. Well, let's look. So here's mean. There's probably more elsewhere, but we've got specifically, and this is using their polypad, which is going to take a while for us to dig into later, but they will show you specifically how to get to the mean, and they have separate different boards you can do it with. So yes, there absolutely are. Going back to lesson plans, there we go. So if I wanted to do, like I said, fractions, here we go. I want to do, we'll do this one. So this, unfortunately, they don't show approximate grade level. They are only subdivided into middle school and high school area. And that's according to United Kingdom standards, not necessarily American or Texan. All right, so here we go with fractions. This specifically would show you how to use fraction bars, which can be complicated, rename them, mix them, use the circles, use them both, use their balance scale, which is super fun. And it goes also into, this is obviously one of their tutorials. Yeah, there's the tag. So there's just tons of stuff to do in here. This is one of my favorite activities, honestly. If you see here, and we'll explore this more in the second portion, they've got circles, and you'll see they're kind of color coded. Every time you see a 2, it's orange. These are factor circles. When you combine them, you'll see there's little pie pieces, and those little pie pieces are each, if it's an orange pie piece, it's a 2. If it's green, it's a 3. If it's blue, it's a 5. If it's purple, it's a 7. And that's across the board. So it can be super cool. And they have direct links to some of their activities. Some of them are just flat interactive. This brought us back to a course, which is not a bad thing. There's tons here. So if I want to just look for teaching ideas, here we go. Color mixing fraction bars. And this will show you how to use their polypad to do that. Now, if I wanted to balance, this one's fun. I really enjoyed this one, especially for algebra, which was a difficult concept to get my math class to see. Oh, I have to sign in for that. Well, no, I'll go ahead and just sign in. All right. So their balance is super cool. So we can see that 4 equals 32. So now we can say, how many does 3 equal? Well, we have to figure out if each of them is 1/4 of 32, we would end up saying that it's 8. And it throws you a little party. Oh, let's see. So as far as the lessons in lesson plans, what I would recommend is, yes, you would introduce it to them in person, and then they can get to it on individual or group time or at home to practice. And honestly, it's also fun to just give the website and let them go a little nuts, kind of like I did. Because I'm not going to lie, I'm a math person. There's some stuff on here I did not know, including I really found the fractals lessons really interesting. So fractals, literally, you can see here, they've got tiles we can play with. You can turn those into different shapes and designs. And yes, they allow you to do that on their interactive manipulatives, which is called Polypad. And it goes further and further in depth. There are videos where you can see the fractals changing. Super cool. All right, so we've looked a little bit at lesson plans. You can get rid of blue checks to specify what you want. You can search whatever it is you're looking for, say fractions, say fractals, whatever it wants. It is a website, not a program. So depending on the phone, it could be mobile friendly. So this is a website currently. They do not have an app. So if you have mobile data to use or Wi-Fi, yes, you could use it on your phone. However, some phones are kind of weird with websites and some phones aren't. It depends on the phone, unfortunately. Hopefully one day, and with them having gotten bought recently, there is a distinct chance that it could happen. But they haven't said anything about plans for it yet. This is specifically ideas for learning the concepts as far as the raw math. So as far as application further, some of that actually will be in our activities. So this is our activities tab. It's got all sorts of cool stuff like we were talking about. Now, some of this stuff is going to be fascinating to your students, and some of it is going to be who cares. But they do specifically have this blue square here, applications of mathematics. Now, it's not necessarily going to apply to everyone's job, but look at all of these categories. We've got practicing weather, which has been really good with one of my students who is a storm chaser. Internet, phones, maps of the earth, just so many different things. Digital music, neurology, robotics, just all sorts of things. Let's say I want to look at microwaves because reasons. Here we go. And it tells you how it works, including the frequency to excite the water molecules to raise the temperature. So it's not always super specific, but if you want more, they've got your links. And that's part of what I love here is they always have a link to what they're talking about. So going back, there we go. And they'll give you a little snippet here, but as you can see on the bottom, they've got two different articles they jump to. So you can spend a lot of time. Here's construction, which is very common amongst my students. There's all sorts here. And it's, again, it could be fun literally for someone who's trying to figure out what they want to do too. And it helps show, oh, here we go, industry, perfect. Science and nature, all this good stuff. Within the activities, real quick, I want to show you the timeline of mathematics they've got. Literally, you can look their first recording system by the Kipu people. And then you can go further back, all the way back to Ishangoban from 20,000 BC, they believe. So they've got tons of stuff here. And again, just like with the articles, the courses, you click, you get to see. And it has more hyperlinks. So it can bring you straight to, okay, well, this has to do with Pythagoras' theorem. Here's the course on that. Oh, there was one other thing I really wanted to show you. As far as I really enjoyed this. So here's a treasure hunt. This is really a pre-made, possibly more than one class activity. This is for primary. They say it's for UK grades 3 through 5. It's a treasure hunt. It has 16 full slides. They've got a ton of activities they go through to figure out how to do it. You can print and cut out these things. And ultimately, to get to their answer and their treasure, they have to answer all of these things. It's got tons of stuff for what a UK student should know by the end of grade 5. So again, it might not exactly align with the US or Texas, but still fascinating and full of good info. All right, so I've got to go back to my presentation now.
Amy, while you're doing that, I do want to have a clarification. We just had Ashley Winkle clarify for us, and this is good news, Lavana, for the question you asked. There is on iPhone, there is a Mathigon app on iPhone. So there is an app.
Okay.
Okay. So thank you, Ashley. And if those of you that are Android users, excuse me, just go to the store and okay, Lavana, perfect. Lavana is confirming that there's an Android. An Android. Yeah. Okay. All right. So thanks to Ashley and thanks to Lavana for confirming. Oh.
Yes, that's even better, obviously. Okay. So you don't even have to have a laptop. Fantastic. So now I've got a really short portion on how to sign up. So here's my visual instructions. You're going to click on the person icon at the top right corner, click create a new account, choose teachers and pick your preference. So I'm going to show you that now. Super easy. All right, main website. I'm going to go up to the person in the upper right corner. I'm going to click create new account. And then you can either sign up as a student, a teacher, or a parent. So make sure if you're picking as teacher that you pick teacher. You can do it either with your Google if you've already got Google Classroom set up and it will automatically add your students. You can do it with Microsoft, or you can do it with the old school email and password. So this is the email and password. Type in first, last name, email, whatever you want your password to be, your school name, and your country, and you have to accept their privacy policy in terms of service. It's nothing crazy. Don't charge a lot of money for your course and you'll be fine. And you can create your account. Or it's even easier if you look at it as teacher and click. Oh, look, it signed me in. So it will automatically pull the information if, say, you've got a Google Classroom. So I'm going to sign out of this because it shows my actual students' names and sign into my fake account, which only has my name. Okay, so as you can see here, what I did was I went to, here's the main website, if it will, and I signed in. So this is the teacher dashboard. You can see here I already have a default class. I can also create a new class. So this is going to be our next step. So I'm going to show you that on the slide. How to add students. You can click on the person icon at the top right, default class or new class. You can import from Google, which again is a click, or you can bring up a class code. And then I have a picture of that on the side of the class code. Now you don't want to use this class code because that's mine for my fake class. But going back, here I am with my fake class. I'm going to click on it. This is me, my fake student. And as you can see, yesterday, or yeah, I did this yesterday. I wanted to make sure I had something partially done. I went through part of statistics and data, but not all of it. And as you can see, oh, look, I only spent 2 minutes. That's important. So you can look at the different sets they've got and see exactly on each thing how much that student has done. Now, to join, literally, I scrolled down. You've got these neat polypad dashboard, multiplication dashboard, community forum. Here's your sign-in portion right below those. Click on import from Google Classroom and it's done. Or if they don't have Google Classroom, which is okay, or they're not signed up for it, they enter the code that's there, whatever your code is. And as soon as they do, they will be added. So I'm going to show you theirs as well. This is how they join your class. They click create an account, they pick student, they sign in. They're going to scroll down to see teachers and parents on the right, and they're going to click the blue link to add a new class code. And Horn, sorry, is my maiden name. So what I did was I used my maiden name for my student account. So it will show you at the top this little green pop out that will say you have successfully added the teacher to your account. So it will tell them flat out, yes, you have been added, which is good because a lot of people, well, I don't know if it went through. It happens. So as far as the students, they sign up the same way teachers do. They would go to the little guy at the top right, create new account, pick student. They have to give their date of birth, and they can sign up flat out with the class code if they want, instead of signing in to do it that way. So it's even easier that way. One of the big questions I had, honestly, with courses is you cannot technically assign a course. So I'm going to show you real quick. So instead of being able to assign the course, what will happen is you can go to your dashboard. You can tell the student what course you want them to do, and then you can look to see if they've done it. But unfortunately, right now, you can't say you can only do this course. And there are other assignable materials next time when we do get to the polypad.
I want to thank everybody for joining us today. I know we're a little bit over time, and I just want to say thank you so much, Amy, and everybody. This was Amy's very first Tech and Tell. So if we can just give her a big clap, yay, good job. So thank you so much.
We hope you enjoyed this pre-recorded webinar. After you have passed the final test with a score of 80% or greater and have received your certificate of completion, please take a few moments to complete the course evaluation. Participant feedback helps Train PD at TCall continue to provide high-quality professional development. To leave a course feedback, please go to the completed portion of your transcript. To do this, hover over the My Learning tab and select View Your Transcript. Click on the drop-down arrow next to the word Active and select Completed. Then, click Evaluate in the drop-down menu next to the course you just completed. Please note that your feedback is greatly appreciated.